Good morning and welcome to All Souls Church. My name is Linda Cozzens and I'm this week's service assistant.
And I'm Reverend Joanna Lubkin, minister of All Souls Church.
A couple of etiquette things. We keep everybody on mute for the service except for our times of sharing joys and concerns.
If you're new to All Souls Church, please take a moment to click on the link in the order of service and in the chat for a connection card so that we can stay in touch.
And it's up to you if you want to turn on your camera and be seen. We do record the service, though joys and concerns won't be in the final recording.
Please feel free to chat in the chat box or to ignore it. We'll be pasting in links for things like our order of service there, but you can also use it as a space to greet one another.
During the service, please feel free to get up and move around or take a break from the screen as you need, but try to be as present as possible and imagine we're all in the same room together.
Finally, remember that when you are invited to sing or to pray, to share or to chat, how you participate or don't is up to you. If it helps you to sing with gusto, though, sheet music is at the end of each order of service.
After church, we have some time to say hello in breakout rooms.
Now, hear these words of welcome.
All who enter in a spirit of curiosity, love, and justice are welcome this morning.
Welcome to people who love God, people who don't believe in God, and people who live in the not knowing.
People who find a higher purpose deep inside, people who find it in relationship with one another, and people who find it in the interdependence of all existence.
And all the people in between.
Whoever you are, whatever your gifts or abilities may be, however you identify, your gender or sexual orientation, wherever your life and faith journey has taken you, you are welcome here.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you understand the sacred, you bless us with your presence.
We light our flaming chalice now with words from the Reverend Dr. David Breeden. We tender this flame, opening the book, turning to a page yet to be written, opening a story yet to be told. May we fill this fresh page wisely. May we write a new story into being. May we together inscribe the page with hope. And we follow the All Souls tradition of lighting a green candle, symbolic of our commitment to being a green sanctuary congregation. May both of these flames call us to kinship and great care for the earth and her living creatures. And now, as we center our hearts, let's sing our chalice song for May, Flame, Welcome All.
Flame, welcome all, calm every storm, bring us together in peace. Warm every heart, silence hatred and fear. Fill us with love, burn in peace.
Throughout the month of May, we'll be delving into the question, what does it mean to be a people of story? What does it mean to tell our own stories, to listen for the stories of others, and to consider whose stories get told? This morning, we look toward the stories, novels, and fictional universes that have shaped us and the wisdom that we found within them. Alice Walker, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of The Color Purple, shared these thoughts about how we take in stories. She wrote, "Storytelling, you know, has a real function. The process of the storytelling is itself a healing process, partly because you have someone there who is taking the time to tell you a story that has great meaning to them. They're taking the time to do this because your life could use some help, but they don't want to just come over and give advice. They want to give it to you in a form that becomes inseparable from your whole self. That's what stories do. Stories differ from advice in that once you get them, Walker concludes, they become a fabric of your whole soul. That is why they heal you. This morning, may we lift up the healing stories have offered us and the ways these stories have continued to be founts of inspiration for us. So may it be. Let's lift our voices now and sing together our opening hymn, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Come thou fount of blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Thank you, Jacob, for leading us in that hymn. It's so good to hear your voice. As a spiritual community, we journey together through life's ups and downs, and we hold each other in love. We take the time to reflect on our week, to recall the milestones, the joys, the concerns, and the sorrows and changes in our lives, and to pray for those in need of healing. You may want to put your screen on gallery view if you'd like to see this gathered community as we share. If you have a heartfelt joy, sorrow, hope, or prayer that you'd like to share, you're invited to either share aloud or in the chat. If you'd like to share, you can come off mute by pressing the unmute button, usually in the lower left corner of your screen. Please share briefly your name and what's on your heart. If you're having trouble unmuting, you can try giving us a wave and we'll press a button on our end to ask you to unmute. After each person shares, I'll drop a stone in water, symbolic of the water gathered and blessed in this year's water ceremony. And please know that this section won't end up in the final recording. What's shared now is kept only here in real time. All are welcome to share now. For all of the sorrows, joys, hopes, and prayers that we hold in our heart, I'll drop one final stone to remember and to rejoice. I invite us to center our hearts as we sing the hymn, Comfort Me, as we lift up all of these prayers, hopes, and milestones shared among us.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
And I invite you to join me in a time of meditation and prayer, first in words, then in silence, and then in music. Our prayer today is adopted from the 8th century Buddhist monk Shantideva, adapted by Reverend Karen Johnston. May I be a guard for those who need protection. When I seek protection, may I find it and share it. For those who wish to cross a further shore, may I be a boat, a raft, a bridge. May I be open to the companionship of others as I make my way to places still before me. May I be a lamp in the darkness for all who seek it. May that light never be extinguished from my own sight and my own heart. May I be a resting place for the weary and be healing medicine for all who are sick. May I know the salve of others for my own afflictions, whether of the body or of the mind or of the heart. Where others see scarcity, may I see a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. As part of the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, freedom from sorrow. And may I delight in our common existence. Holding most tenderly those with broken hearts, let us sit together in stillness for a time.
This is the time in our service when we take a financial offering to support the work of this church. We do this in worship to act out the reality that is our generosity that sustains this church. Most of our budget comes from us, from everyone who makes and pays a regular pledge, and everyone who gives something on Sunday. If you're new here today, please feel free to let the virtual offering basket pass you by if you want. You are our guest. If you consider this your church, please consider making and paying a recurring pledge. Please give what you can, whether that is $1, $20, or more. You can make a donation online or mail in a check to the addresses listed in your order of service and in the chat. We are so grateful for the ways each of you give of your time, your talent, and yes, your treasure and your money. To make this church happen, aren't you glad too for the ways everyone gives? And for the ways this church is transforming lives for the better? Remember to give from that place of gratitude. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
This morning we share two short readings from authors David Loy and Ursula K. Le Guin. First, from writer and Zen teacher David Loy. A better way to evaluate a myth, a symbolic story, is to consider what happens when we try to live according to it. The most important criterion for Buddhism is whether a story promotes awakening. Myths are not simply bad stories that need to be replaced with rational and scientific accounts that more accurately grasp the empirical world. From a story perspective, one of the most dangerous myths is that of life without myth. The story of a realist who has freed himself from all that nonsense. The idea that science and systematic reason can liberate us from the supposed unreason of myth is one of today's popular fictions. And second, science fiction and fantasy novelist Ursula K. Le Guin Storytelling is dangerous to those who profit from the way things are, because it has the power to show that the way things are is not permanent, not universal, not necessary. Having that real, though limited power to put established institutions into question, imaginative literature has also the responsibility of power. The storyteller is the truth teller. We will not know our own injustice if we cannot imagine justice. We will not be free if we do not imagine freedom. We cannot demand that everyone try to attain justice and freedom who has not had a chance to imagine them as attainable.
Here is a true story about me. I have a Vulcan half-brother. I said that sentence to a friend of mine once, and she heard the word Balkan, as in the Balkan Peninsula, but no, I mean a green-blooded, pointy-eared, logic-abiding native of the planet Vulcan. Allow me to explain. I am a fourth-generation Star Trek fan. So my dad watched the show with his grandfather, my great-grandfather. Some of you have heard a bit about my Star Trek legacy in other services. My parents met at Star Trek conventions in Long Island, New York in the 70s. They both wrote and published their own fan fiction, imaginative stories about the adventures that the Enterprise crewmates had beyond the scripts of the television show. My mother was famous among fandom for a character that she created named Sahaj. This is Sahaj. You can't quite see him there. Sahaj was a half-human, half-Vulcan son of Enterprise's first officer Spock. I grew up begging my mother to read me the Sahaj stories over and over. A very atypical Vulcan, Sahaj was everything that I wasn't, at least then. Rebellious, sassy, impulsive, and fond of taking things apart and putting them back together, always with a mysterious extra piece left over. I have a memory of being around 6 years old, thinking hard, and then asking my mom one day, so if you made Sahaj and you made me, does that mean that Sahaj is my brother? I can't remember her exact response, but we settled on the idea that while she was indeed my mother, Spock was clearly not my father, so Sahaj was my half-brother. I was a lonely only child, and suddenly I had a brother. I even created a little mailbox on my bedroom door in which I put handwritten letters to Sahaj, and he would write back, but the letters were always typed, so I couldn't tell his handwriting. There was mystery, there was whimsy, and there was a feeling of companionship. There was also a sense of family. My parents met because they are both storytellers, and this story was, in a way, my family history. As a kid whose parents were divorced, having a story like this that connected me to both of my parents is a special thing. And I will say that my mom is still writing this series. I knew that Sahaj didn't really exist, and I knew that Star Trek was just an imaginary universe in which my family loved to play. I also knew from experience that telling other kids at school about my Vulcan half-brother was not the coolest option for entering a conversation. So, in a way, being a part of Sahaj's world became a secret escape, a place only a few of us knew about, and that made it even more special. It made it mine. Now, more than, 25 years after my mom first read me a Sahaj story, I still grin internally when somebody asks me if I'm an only child, because I know the secret. When an opportunity to be a little sassy, rebellious, or impulsive comes up, I still sometimes think, what would Sahaj do? And heaven forbid if I ever have to take something mechanical apart and put it back together again, there is usually one extra mysterious piece left over. It must run in the family. We are a people of story. Since ancient times, we have hungered for stories, be they creation tales or myths about heroes, personal narratives about making it through tough times, or fictional stories that let us escape to another time and place entirely. Stories shape us in so many ways, Reverend Emily Gage writes. When they resonate with our own experience, they tell us something about who we are. When they jolt us into a new perspective, they broaden our sense of the world. When they share where we have come from, they remind us that we are part of a larger narrative. The complexity of this is staggering. Salman Rushdie put it this way in his book, Midnight's Children. He wrote, what am I? My answer, I am everyone, everything whose being in the world was affected by mine. I am anything that happens after I've gone, which would not have happened if I had not come. Nor am I particularly exceptional in this matter. Each I, every one of the now 600 million plus of us, contains a similar multitude. Rushdie concludes, to understand me, you'll have to swallow the world. In some ways, it could be argued each one of us is a community or a collection of stories. And that is, in part, what this month's theme is all about. Those of us who grew up with stories from the Bible or other religious scriptures have those stories seeped in us. But we're also shaped by the children's books that we delighted in, the family tales that were repeated at every holiday, the movies or the TV shows that we watch over and over, even the memes that are shared and tweaked and shared on the internet. As Unitarian Universalists on our own free and responsible search for truth and meaning, we can gather wisdom, insight, and moral lessons from any source that we let ourselves be open to. The biblical story of Ruth and Naomi taught me the value of sticking by your chosen family. But then again, so does the current TV show Pose about the New York queer drag ball scene in the 1980s and 90s. Little Women, and particularly the character of Jo, which is why I go by Jo, taught me that it was okay to delight in reading and learning, to be independent, to follow my dreams. The Color Purple, and these are all up here, so there was Little Women. The Color Purple, people asked what books these were, taught me to find God in all things, to pause and notice beauty in the world around me, to understand all of who we are as beautiful. Let's see, Stranger in a Strange Land and other novels by Heinlein taught me that the more you love, the more you can love, and the more intensely you love. Nor is there any limit on how many you can love. If a person had time enough, they could love all of the majority who are decent and just. Reading and rereading the Outlander series, listening to them as audiobooks actually, all about time travel, teaches me adaptability, curiosity, and resilience. What have been the stories that have shaped you? I would love for you to put in the chat the stories that live within you and what they've taught you. We'll take a few moments, about a minute of quiet music, while folks share in the chat, and I'll read aloud a few of their responses. What stories have lived in you, and what have they taught you? I love these responses we were starting to get in. You're welcome to add more to them. Folks lifted up the Wheel of Time series, which is a big honkin' series, 800 pages per book and 14 books. I love a meaty series like that. Kelly Kinsman lifted up A Wrinkle in Time and Harriet the Spy and The Secret Garden from Nikki. So many of these are beloved, whether we reread them as children, or we read them once and they changed how we thought about things forever. Feel free to add as we go, and I'd be curious for anyone who wants to share what it was those books taught you. Maureen's biographies of Eleanor Roosevelt and Gertrude Ertl, I'm not pronouncing it, Ederl? Okay, Maureen, you'll have to teach me how to pronounce that after this, but thank you for that. Beloveds, to be of story means that all that we see and hear and read and take in becomes an inseparable part of ourselves. When we listen for the stories, we are able to see new ways of doing things, imagine new and more just worlds, gain new understandings, find and keep hope. Let us keep seeking wisdom and understanding from each story we encounter, and so continue to grow our souls. So may it be. Our closing hymn this morning is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Let's raise our voices one more time together and sing along with our choir.
When we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell a story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of the heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart
thank you to all of you who keep adding titles. I'm going to make sure we've got this list written down and saved in the chat to share. Our closing words this morning are from Reverend Barbara Pescan. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, to bow to the mystery. Go and be blessed as you are a blessing to others. Our postlude today is one of so many that I could have chosen. That was a musical that was based on a beloved book. This is from the musical The Color Purple. This is from their 2016 Tony performance. So it's a little bit of one song and a little bit of another. And thank you to Alicia for doing our screen sharing and tech here. The lyrics, if you want to sing along or follow along for this, are in the order of service if you'd like.
It's Sunday morning, so make a joyful noise. Unto the
Yeah, amen.
the Lord. When the king threw Daniel in the lion's den, the Lord works in mysterious ways. God sent a mighty angel, brought him out. Yes, the good Lord works in mysterious ways. When God saw the wicked, he knew what to do. Said, Lord, bring the animals to said, I'm gonna keep your boat afloat for 40 days.
Gosh, I miss musical theater. Anyone else? Broadway's opening back up 3 days before my birthday, so I think I know what I'm doing this year. Friends, thank you to everybody who helped bring this service together, to Mary for being our usher, to Linda for being our service assistant, Don for being our reader and flautist, Alicia for doing tech, Jacob for the music always, and all of you all for being here and for being a part of this community and sharing your gifts with us. Thank you. We have a few announcements, a few invitations, including one that happens today. So at 11:45, right here in the same Zoom room, we'll have a budget meeting. Mary has been hard at work preparing materials for us to help us understand our budget for this coming year. And this is in preparation for our annual meeting, which will be in June. So we highly encourage you to stay, even if you don't think you're a numbers person. I don't know that I'm a numbers person, but Mary helps us understand it. So please do come. Given the time, we'll probably take maybe 10 minutes of breakout rooms for folks to mingle, then about a 15-minute break for you to go get some coffee, water, go to the bathroom, whatever. And 11:45, we'll gather here for that. Mary put in the chat a link to some materials for that. So whether you can stay or not, feel free to have a look through those. Oops, I hit a button. All right, also coming up this week, on Monday at 3:30 is our informal conversation connection circle. All of this is on Zoom unless otherwise specified, but we hope to have an announcement in the next week or so about a June outdoor thing. So stay tuned. You'll hear more next week. To Monday evening at 6:30 is a Board of Trustees meeting. Thursday evening, I see a message from Joe, and I see that Sandra's raising their hand. It might be about the same thing, which is that the development committee meeting is Wednesday evening at 7. Sandra, is that what you'd like to share? Feel free to come off mute if you want to add to that, or if there's something else.
Also that, to invite everyone to please join us on Saturday evening. And if anyone is interested in emceeing the event or partially emceeing the event or introducing their own piece of talent, that would be great. And just let me know. The information will be in the chimes, and it'll be in This Week at All Souls too.
Thanks, Sandra. You beat me to it. I was going chronologically through, but that is the event I'm most looking forward to on this week's calendar. Not that I don't look forward to every board meeting, but talent night, I'm excited. And I will say, any of these committee meetings are really open to new folks. Nothing, unless it says closed group, which rarely happens, is really closed. You're welcome to come to any of these if you're interested. So Sunday service and music is Thursday afternoon, evening. Friday morning, this has somebody added, is on aging this week. Is that correct? Okay, great. So Friday at 10 a.m. is kind of a more themed discussion. Again, everybody's welcome to come to those. And the talent night on Saturday. So that'll be at 7 p.m. Feel free to invite friends to come. And it's a fun, non-threatening way to get to know us. So that'll be really fun. And then Sunday, I'll be leading a service called I Am From, and this will have some writing components to it. So I will encourage you, if you'd like, to bring some paper or a journal, or if you're a typer, have another document open. You can do it just listening and meditating, but you might get more out of it if you have a chance to write. So all that being said, is there any major announcement for the next week or so that I have missed? A lot going on. Great.